Morning, I'm Father Bob Stokig, Rector of the Guardian Angel Cathedral here in Las Vegas, Nevada. To all of our local parishioners, we miss you. Our relative small numbers allowed in church mean that many of you, especially those of you with any compounding conditions, don't come on Sunday. But we are open, and you can find our Mass times and the regulations we have to follow on our website, and you can find that by looking at your screen. We're going to begin a series of reflections about the Sunday readings. And this Sunday, the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time, gives us some interesting challenges to look at. Our gospel has Jesus encountering a foreigner, a Canaanite woman. The Canaanites and the Israelites had ancient quarrels with each other. They were enemies, and so the cultural baggage that accompanies that is reflected even in this dialogue between this unnamed woman and Jesus. First, a bit about the woman. She is a mother, and she's in need of help for her child who appears to be possessed by a demon. She's an outsider, and she follows Jesus and his disciples around, calling out to him. In fact, it's interesting, in Matthew's gospel, she addresses him with titles that indicate she knows who he really is. Titles like Lord and Son of David. She asks for pity, for mercy. And first, of course, the disciples want her to go away, so they ask Jesus to send her away. But she persists, because there's probably nothing more powerful than a mother trying to help one of her children. In her persistence, she cries out to Jesus, and Jesus talks about his understanding of his role as being sent for the house of Israel, for the lost sheep. But she doesn't leave it there. She continues to cry out to him, and finally, after a terse exchange where Jesus quotes the attitude of the culture around him toward the foreigner, the Canaanite. After that exchange, she persists, and he says, "O woman, how great is your faith." And from that moment, her daughter is healed. What's interesting in the liturgical year is to look at this gospel in relationship to last week's gospel. Last week, we had Jesus meet his disciples in the boat on the stormy sea. And in their fear, the disciples didn't recognize who he was. They in fact thought he was a ghost. Peter wants proof when Jesus says who he is. And so he says, "Lord, if it's really you, command me to come to you on the water." And he gets out of the boat and takes a few steps, and then as soon as he feels the wind, gets fearful again and begins to sink, and Jesus saves him. Jesus says to Peter at the end of that encounter, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" He says to this woman, the outsider, "Woman, great is your faith. Be it done as you wish." This gospel brings up a whole host of things for us in our age about insiders and outsiders. It challenges us about our own stereotypes of others, and perhaps it comes at a very timely moment for us. In the face of the COVID-19 crisis, we often view people we don't know as suspicious. In fact, we're taught to assume everybody has the virus. That's why we wear masks when we're in public, to protect ourselves and each other. In those moments, those things we do, which we do for our safety and our well-being, can also translate into unease just about who the other is in our world around us. And I think that we have to keep safe if we're out in public in these times. We also have to keep that in balance so we don't start to judge with great suspicion everyone. And secondly, at this time in our country, we are so polarized. We sort each other out as being on one side or the other of every issue, and often things which are much more nuanced, which need deeper reflection and discussion, get lost in the fray. So as we hear these readings this week, we think about our own challenges. We wonder if our faith might be as strong as the foreigner who cries out to Jesus for help. We also wonder if our own judgments keep people away from Jesus, the Christ that they meet in us, especially when we're sent forth after celebrating the Eucharist. So I invite and encourage you to think and to pray this week about those issues in your own life. In the meantime, we at Guardian Angel Cathedral miss you, our local parishioners, and we miss our visitors from all over the world who have been coming here since this building opened as the Guardian Angel Shrine in the 1960s. Oftentimes, it's at the same time every year the same visitors come back, and now with travel restrictions and with cancellations of conventions, we know that people we're used to seeing each year we aren't seeing. Likewise with our local parishioners, we don't see enough of you, literally. We can only accommodate 50 people at a time during this phase, and so many of you watch live streams or YouTube masses in lieu of being able to gather together. So as we think about where we are in our own lives spiritually, we continue to pray for one another and hope that all those who are working for cures and vaccines are successful soon, so that we can all gather together again at the table of the Lord here at the Guardian Angel Cathedral in Las Vegas.